I was born back there in 1925 and grew up here. I was born in that house right over that way, upstairs. And of course, that's been many years ago. And you see all of these camellias. They weren't as big as this, you know, but they're overgrown, so. But they were all over here, and everywhere you looked, you'd see azaleas and everything. It was a beautiful place. I used to slide down these panels, these planters, when I was a kid, but they used to punish us when we'd do that. Slide down the banisters. This used to be my sister's room, and we slept in the porch in the back there, my brother and I. You know, it was a wonderful growing up, you know. It was during the Depression ages, and we had plenty to eat because we grew a lot of things, but we didn't want anything because we got all the food we could eat. This was used, when I was recall, milk shed where we milked the cows, and of course that one right there was the chicken coop. That's where the chickens went in and laid, you know. My father's first name was Harry. My mother's first name was Leonora. Leonora Adam Barrow. She was a Barrow. Most of the Barrows came from St. Francisville. That's my father. And the next boy on the left-hand side was Wally Rowe, which was my uncle. And my aunt was Aunt Mattie. My mother was, you know, made us learn and made us go to school and made us study. And my father worked, and he took care of us. That was a picture of, oh, there it is. That was a picture of my brother, Harry, right there. Well, of course, my brother was 3 years older, and my sister was 2 years older, and I was the baby. Well, my grandfather, his name was Charles Rowe, and I was named after him. Well, we all had to learn how to play the piano, and we had a lady by the name of Saluda, and she would come every week and give us piano lessons. And my brother and my sister, they became very good at it, but to me it was just too difficult for me. And but I did learn how to play somewhat, and but in order to make us practice when we're supposed to, she would take a limb off of the peach tree, and that was how she would give us a little whack on the, so make us go practice. And finally, the peach tree died, and I quit practicing and got out of studying to be a pianist. But I could play some, but I never did accomplish it as much as they did. You know. When I got to be about 10 or 11 years old, I bought a Model T Ford. I was given 25 cents a week for, and then every now and then for a birthday or something or other, I'd get $1 or something. And went over to New Roads, and it was a coupe. The front end had a back seat, and paid $10 for it. And so I got rid of my
Model T?
Model T and bought a Model A.
Yeah.
And it was quite a dude, and I kept it for quite a long time.
How old were you about then, Charles?
Well, I guess I was about 12 or 13, 14. And in those days, you know, you didn't have to have a driver's license to drive anywhere. It didn't make any difference how old or young you were. The Slack brothers, and they owned the plantation and the sugar factory. And three brothers, and they had one sister, which was my great-grandmother. She had one son, which was named Charles, which was my grandfather. And when he died from an automobile accident, coming back from New Orleans during the Depression age, that's when my father had to take over the running of the sugar factory and the plantations.
Recognize anything?
Yeah, well, I think this area right here was where they used to have tanks that we put the syrup, where they put the syrup in here. I was a foreman. You know, it's the deal where you say, you know, you become the owner's son. And anyway, I was a foreman of the sugar factory, and I went to work at 12 o'clock at midnight and worked until 12 noon when the factory was operating, and that operated about 2.5 or 3 months out of the year. And my sister, she worked in the laboratory in the sugar factory, and my brother, he worked in the sugar factory because he was a few years older than me. And all of this was covered with sugar cane, as it still is, but all of that was done by mules and plows. Got to the point where we went to tractors and so forth to do it, but we got older. We used to sit here on the porch. My mother was here and I would sit in the chair. My mother asked me after I came down from the service whether or not I was going to go back to college, and I said, I don't think so. And she said, well, look, I want you to look over there and see those mules that are doing those, they're plowing those fields. That if you don't go back to college and get yourself a degree, you're going to spend the rest of your life with a mule pooting in your face. And so that impressed me, so I decided I'd better go back to college. Then when I finished LSU, I went back into the sugar factory until it finally closed because it was too small an operation to last very long. So, and all of the principals were getting old, and so they just sold it, got rid of it. When they sold it, that was when they had the Cuban crisis, and all these Cuban people moved into Florida and started spending some of their money and investing, and so they took the sugar factory to pieces and sold it to the Cubans down in Florida to build a sugar factory with it. And that's when all the stuff finally just grew up and sold everything they had, and timber and everything else that was in it. Yeah. So that's when I had to, that's when I had to get out and go to work.